So my name is Junker, I'm developer at Hypixel and also do my own servers. And I made a little note about that and I'm gonna show.
Hi, I'm Codename B. I do stuff on the Hypixel server, which is my main project at the minute, but I also have side projects where I show sort of how to get into programming and how I got into it, and just think quick, simple things you can do with it. So here is the showcase video of the Hypixel server that I got for you guys.
Hello guys, I'm Lee from Bycraft, and this is the video that we have on our homepage. This is kind of like an introduction video to the plugin.
At first, it was just James and his friends, trying out mods like Tekkit and Hunger Games, or spending hours building stuff like giant Nyangats, then blowing them up using TNT. Through word of mouth, the number of people joining his server started to increase every day. Soon James had a great community built around his server, so he decided to rent a few more servers, and even more people joined in on the fun. For a while, things were running pretty well, thanks to a couple of dedicated players who were happy to help. James soon found himself in a dilemma. Players were requesting new game modes, more mods, and better servers, but that cost money. Money he didn't have. He really wanted to keep growing his community, but without money, that just wasn't going to happen. James considered shutting the whole thing down until one of his friends learned about his dilemma and told him about Bycraft. James installed Bycraft on one of his servers, and within minutes, it was up and running, ready to accept donations. He made a post on his website explaining his dilemma to the community and set up a couple VIP packages that people could buy to support the continued growth of the community. Word spread quickly, and soon his community was generously showing their support. Thanks to the simplicity of Bycraft's fully automated donation system, people got their VIP packages instantly, and their donations were transferred to his PayPal account. James could now afford to pay for his servers and even upgrade them. A few days later, friends had a hard time getting a hold of James. He was too busy making plans to grow his once humble community into one of the greatest Minecraft communities on the planet. Install Bycraft on your Minecraft server today. Get off to a good start by using our free tutorial section where you can learn how to create your first packages to start accepting donations in no time. Should you face any difficulties, don't worry, our friendly support staff is always ready to help, day or night.
I'm Flan. I created Flan's mod and did a small bit on the ether when it first came out. We have an introduction video to my mod. Yeah.
Otherwise known online as Marathi. As you can tell by the not video behind me, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm a live streamer. I also do Minecraft modding, which is why I'm up here. Mostly modding for Forge, as opposed to all the bucket lads, apart from Flan. Mods like charge pads for IC2, obsidian plates, switches, infinibows, various other mods which are, as opposed to some massive projects that Flan has just shown, are mostly helper mods and additions to packs that people put out, for example, in Feed the Beast. And helper plugins and tweak mods for things like Sizzlecraft, which was Baking Donut, who's another live streamer, and Magic Farm, who's another FTB pack. That's mostly what I do.
I was wondering, how would you start looking into modding? Like, how would you learn? On websites or books?
What kind of modding are you looking to get into? The client side or the server side, or a bit of both? Just getting started?
Yeah, a bit of both.
Bit of, okay, the best thing you can do is join up to one of the forums, either Forge, Spigot, Bucket, and start looking at code, essentially. Start to understand what each thing means and does. There's a couple of books on Java, but if you grasp the basics, you can pretty much just dive in at the deep end.
Coverage of things like Java. some of the helper sites are actually really good to kind of like point you in the right direction. Things like about.com actually has like entire sections on how to get started in development as a whole, and they cover like a variety of languages, which Java is one of them. There are actually quite a few sites if you Google them. Sort of like just Google something simple like Learn Java or Learning Java. There are several sites out there dedicated to actually starting you from scratch onwards. Once you understand the general gist of the language, there are GitHub repositories by, depending on whether it's Bucket or Forge you're going for, like CPW has Iron Chests, mod is up on GitHub. Project Red, which is a dive in the deep end, has a GitHub repository. Do you? So many resources out there that you can actually access to have a look and see how existing mods have done it. So you get plenty of actual proof of concept there. Once you understand them, it makes it a lot easier to actually start on your own once you sort of like get solid content to work off.
Thinking of things you can do with what you've already got before you try and create something new is the simplest way you can get started with it.
Hi. What is it that got you into modding, and how did you start coding? What was it that got you into that?
I started playing Minecraft. I started running my own server. I started noticing that the plugins that other people were making just weren't good enough for me. So I started trying to make my own, and that's pretty much what got me into it. I got fed up with other people and waiting for them to update things, so I learned to update it myself.
Well, I just started playing Minecraft and then playing with mods, and then I thought, well, I want to make my own things. I actually started off thinking I want to make a space mod. That would be really cool. So I thought that's quite complicated, so I just started with a flying vehicle, the first plane, and it just sort of took off from there. And right, yes. And yeah, and I never actually got onto the space mod, but made lots of other mods on the way.
How do you know, like, how to modify the packets that the server sends to the plugins in the net.minecraft.server?
There's a really great site called wiki.vg, which I use for reference all the time when I'm stuck.
The network packet system is significantly more complex to actually hook into and use compared to like the bucket system, from what I can see. Not technically harder, just it's more involved because Forge deals with both client and server side. But your code kind of sits on both. It's why Forge coding can be technically more challenging. You write one jar file, basically one mod file, and the server has that and the client has it both at the same time. So you have to know which side you're on and talk to the other side and be able to send the right things the right way. So it's difficult, but as Code said, there are reference sites which kind of list all the contents of the different packets and in as detailed as possible what they all do. So it's any time we're looking at something, unless it's something we're intimately involved in, it's the go to the reference site. It's pretty much covers just about any language and anything you're doing. Is if you're learning something new, it's go to a reference site or go to a reference book.
Yep, I mean, there's no way that I could personally remember everything. I always have, I mean, at home I've got a 3-screen setup so that I can have Minecraft in one, the code window in another, and then Google, so I can look up things I forget. I forget things all the time, so if you look up things and that's how you get started, you shouldn't feel ashamed of that, because everyone does that. It's exactly how it works.
I'll freely admit, I avoid as much as possible anything that deals with the packet system, because it's mean.
The new packet system that's in 1.7 as opposed to 1.6 splits packets out into like server and client, so you can do the same thing really, it just lets you streamline what you're doing a bit, because if you're looking at what packet do I send from the server to the client, you can now just look at server to client packets rather than having to search through the whole list. I mean, the main thing I use them for is the particle effect system, which really doesn't have a vanilla implementation until very recently. And that's just to do cool effects around players like auras and stuff.
I have to say that new system, the splitting between server and client, is fantastic. It's something that's been needed to have been done for a lot more versions before now.
Yeah, they've really started to clean up the system. And I'm really looking forward to the plugin API, which is why Bucket and Forge are good things to get into rather than base class modding, which is another way to mod, which isn't really recommended. Exactly. Because if you're learning to do Bucket or Forge, then you're preparing yourself for when the mod API comes out, and you're going to be 100% ready for that.
Hi, quick question. We got started with the Raspberry Pi API for Minecraft and using Python as an intro to the world. What do you think? What do you think? When I say Python, what do you think? Should we just dive straight into Java, or should we spend a couple of years down that road?
I mean, if you want to get started right away doing stuff in Minecraft right now, there's no reason that you can't just get straight into Java. It's pretty much the same deal. Constructors, objects, methods. There's, apart from syntax, very little difference between the two. So, if you want to get started straight away rather than Python, then there's nothing stopping you. On the Bucket website, there's a central repository for all plugins listed. And also there's utilities that people have written. I've written a few, such as like things to make configs easier, some fireworks stuff that I did. And there's literally thousands of other things people have done that you can then hook into and use in your project separately. And they tend to be quite open licenses. Like people will post them and just be like, just put credit in your source code somewhere and you're fine to do whatever. It's quite an open source community, the Bucket one.
Forge site, due to the steps that FTV's been taking lately, Feed the Beast, you're probably going to see an awful lot more mods showing up in CurseForge, because it's becoming a more regularly accessible like central repository for Forge-based mods. You find an awful lot of people now with stuff like up there, with Curse having their Curse client, which allows you to sort of like grab and put things into the right place for the Minecraft client. It'll get a lot easier soon, because that's something that's happening at the moment into the future. There's been tweets from FTV and such about it. They're kind of like definitely working together on this towards player advantage. At the moment, MinecraftForum.com is like a massive forum for Minecraft stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
there are an awful lot of people, like people who have mods who frequent that, just looking for mods on that site, and almost all of them, if they're a decent post, will actually have instructions as to how to install the mods, etc. With Forge, it's actually reasonably straightforward. Putting Forge in, putting the mods in the right folder, is pretty much good to go.
I mean, that's the beauty of a plugin system, is it's all pretty straightforward once you've got the code compiled.
And there are plenty of YouTube videos out there doing a how-to, as in these are the steps you take to do stuff. Now. So things are very straightforward.
With Minecraft players soon being able to change their usernames, how much of an impact will the plugin switching from usernames to unique player IDs be impacted? And also, how would you go about changing everything and making it work?
Very good question, and both of us have just done this on quite considerable scale. Depending on the plugin activity and the author of the plugin, the main thing you need to do is change all references to player names to references to the UUID string. They're both strings. I mean, if you consider a name as like an arbitrary concept that refers to a player, then all that is the name is no longer something you can use to refer to a player when they're offline. You have to use the UUID as that concept. And how that's going to affect things. If you've got plugins that are inactive, Factions I know is one that's not very frequently updated, especially the old version. But I know there's a couple of people who've gone in and updated it to UUID. You would check the Spigot forums for Factions and things like that. And if you've got favorite plugins that you want updated but you can't quite do it yourself, you could post on one of the forums, say, I've done this, I tried to do this, could somebody help? And generally they'll at least give you pointers, unless you find a troll, but somebody will help.
And on the Forge side of things, Forge is actually still on 1.7.2, and the changes are, at some point, it's 1.7.7 or something. So it'll be coming soon, but you can't sort of update your watch mod yet.
There are already flags and stuff like that showing up some of the downloads at 0.10 is coming soon, trademark. So things are already in the pipeline for stuff. Yeah, they're moving fast now.
They really are. I don't know if any of you follow the Minecraft release schedule at all, but there were several versions of different versions released as well. I think there was 2.7s, 3.8s, and a couple of 0.9s as well. And then they're coming out with 0.10, and that's all in the space of a week. So they're really ramping it up to get ready for this big 1.8 update. It's quite cool. This is quite an exciting time to be involved in Minecraft and playing it, because it's about to completely redefine everything.
Especially from a modding perspective, there's going to be so much more possible because the client's becoming easier to work with. From Ford's side, the client's becoming easier to work with, which makes the whole working from both sides a lot more interesting. The people are going to be able to do an awful lot more. As far as the name change update for Forge, changes are being done, but Lixmanos is at the moment the mainstay of. He's working on both Forge and FML at the same time because CPW set back. So he's doing the work of two people on some code that he wasn't intimately involved in writing at the start, so there's some learning process there. You're getting through it really quite quickly, but yeah, doing the job of two people, it's taking a little bit longer. It will get there. It's almost there.
Lee, do you want to talk about what you've sort of been doing to get everything up to date with Bycraft with new UIDs?
Basically, with Bycraft, some of you probably know what it is, but when the user tries to donate to a server, they have to enter their username. So for the past 3 years, for when Bycraft's been running, we've been referencing everything to do with the usernames. So now, when 1.8 releases, you'll be able to change your username. So the problem is that when someone donates to a server and they get a rank, for example, if they change their username, there's a chance that they're going to lose it. So we're having to go through about 4 million different usernames and change everything to the new unique user ID system. So it's a good few weeks of work. Very stressful, but we're getting there. And to be honest, over all of the big server networks, there's probably been over 30 million. 11? There's probably about 11 million username conversions.
So thank you very much, fine people, for coming along. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.